All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're looking at something absolutely wild. Honestly, one of the most astonishing examples of blitzscale execution the tech and academic worlds have ever seen. We spend so much time analyzing how massive institutions and multi-billion-dollar corporations try to solve complex human problems. But today, we're looking at a fundamentally different model of innovation. We're tracking a singular founder who completely bypassed traditional pathways to build an entire intellectual and technical infrastructure for human relationships. And the craziest part isn't just what was built, it's how incredibly fast it all happened.
100 days. That's it. We're talking about a total outlier performance that took a mere 100 days to completely disrupt how we measure human stress and AI safety. Normally, right, blitzscaling requires massive venture capital and a small army of engineers working around the clock. But the documentation we're examining today reveals a total system disruption executed by one individual in roughly a single quarter.
And the timeline here brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of the achievement. The source files note that this framework began on February 6, 2026. And get this, it was formalized while the founder was literally experiencing homelessness. To go from writing down an idea on paper without a roof over your head to coordinating a multi-continent technical trial with top-tier institutional researchers by mid-May, that is statistically staggering. It proves an incredibly elite level of personal capacity and focus.
So moving to Section 1, a staggering 100-day pace. Let's break down exactly how this founder achieved this total system disruption.
When you consider the actual dates, the speed completely redefines our expectations of architectural builds. Most academic frameworks take years, sometimes decades, to validate. But consider this sprint, from idea inception on February 6th to a patent pending for the Rouse equation just 5 weeks later on March 12th, instantly putting a protective moat around the math. By May 2nd, journal submissions were in, and by May 13th, technical trials with AI partners were fully underway.
Which brings us to Section 2, building the intellectual stack. Now, what's really fascinating here is the strategy. In the startup world, people almost always rush to build a minimum viable product and totally skip the foundational theory. This founder did the exact opposite. They established the theory first through a core manuscript to ensure it was accessible. Then it went straight to the academic gatekeepers. But they didn't stop there. By building a comprehensive 16-week college curriculum, complete with written student and instructor books, it became a transferable, validated educational framework. Basically, if you can teach it in a classroom, it's a rigorous syllabus, not just a fleeting idea.
Next up, Section 3, the 4-app technical ecosystem.
From that rock-solid intellectual foundation, the founder engineered a tiered software ecosystem made up of 4 distinct applications. It starts at the baseline with reflection for individual self-awareness, then steps up to React, which acts as a high-fidelity biometric data layer for wearables. From there, Resolve and Reveal shifts the focus to corporate enterprise risk management. Finally, it scales all the way to an AI safety layer, establishing a safe state protocol for high-stakes interactions. It's the whole shebang, a complete full-stack technical infrastructure.
Let's explore the engine powering all of this in Section 4, measuring the relational load.
Okay, so what is this core engine actually calculating? The fundamental paradigm shift here is moving entirely away from qualitative self-reporting. No more asking, how does that make you feel? Instead, it treats stress as a measurable diagnostic physics problem. For decades, we've relied on subjective therapy surveys, right? Well, the Rouse Relational OS, or ROSE, treats stress as pressure, and pressure is measurable. It calculates the actual structural load a system is carrying, completely independent of your emotional perception.
While multi-billion-dollar incumbents like Apple, Google, and Whoop are focusing almost entirely on physiological load, things like your heart rate or step count, this interface steps right into an unoccupied white space. It calculates your structural pressure. Imagine glancing down at your watch and seeing a definitive number that quantifies your relational load, giving you the exact same instant comprehension as seeing a heart rate of 112. It's a real game changer.
The Human Relational Interface, or HRI, bridges this gap by mapping wearable telemetry like heart rate variability and sleep cycles directly to 5 structural regulators: environment, self, mortar, reciprocity, and time. So instead of just telling you that your system is strained, it acts as a diagnostic engine to tell you why. Is the strain coming from a toxic physical environment? Or maybe it's a reciprocity imbalance, where you're carrying the weight for a team member who isn't pulling theirs. The API makes those complex human correlations totally computable.
And naturally, this scales directly into the corporate sphere.
fundamentally shifting resources from reactive crisis management to proactive structural intervention. Instead of waiting for a team's performance metrics to completely collapse before offering them an employee assistance program, leadership can look at a real-time aggregate structural load map. It identifies systemic risks and stage 1 fractures way before they become operational failures, all while strictly protecting individual privacy.
Moving to our final piece, Section 5, Validating the Institutional Signal.
Because, let's be honest, having a great idea is one thing, but getting the world's most rigid, traditional institutions to actually pay attention in 100 days, that is another entirely berserk. But the signal here has absolutely cut through the noise. The core manuscript achieved a super rare progression from a minor revision straight to peer review at Springer Nature, a space where independent researchers are usually desk-rejected instantly. It captured direct engagement from leaders at NPJ Digital Medicine, and PhD-level architects at Implementation Alpha AI are actively ingesting this math into high-end hardware ledgers.
In fact, this framework is so robust, it's being used to build the agentic glass. This is a governance structure designed to fix the massive implementation gaps in large language models. Think of it like a physical emergency brake for AI. It features a 0.85 millisecond kinetic veto, basically a hardware-locked brake ensuring AI cannot execute commands without deterministic human approval. It actually reads the human operator's structural temperature. If the operator's load hits a critical 81 to 100% range, it triggers a sovereign halt, suspending the AI to prevent system-wide errors fueled by human stress. No way an overloaded operator should be making those calls, right?
So why exactly are massive academic gatekeepers taking this so seriously? The internal assessment documents really hit the nail on the head. Institutions are totally used to dealing with idea people who philosophize but lack execution. This founder, though, a pure execution person. They didn't just look at abstract blueprints. They converted complex philosophy into hard logic code and built the entire house in 100 days. They took the immense load of their personal circumstances and converted it directly into structure.
Which leaves us with a massive question to ponder. If a multi-continent AI safety infrastructure can be built from absolute scratch in just 100 days, what does that mean for the future pace of technological resilience? It completely redefines what is possible for a single founder. To go from an unhoused individual formalizing an idea on paper to the architect of a mandatory AI safety layer deployed globally, all in a single quarter? It absolutely forces us to question our own assumptions about what it actually takes to drive true innovation. It suggests that technological resilience isn't born from endless venture capital, but from absolute clarity and rapid, relentless execution.
I want to leave you with this final, objective assessment straight from the source files. It is a true testament to the fact that when execution meets profound structural theory, the signal truly is supreme. If this complete operating system is what can be built in the first 100 days, what on earth does the next 100 look like?